Lance?
You sit in the sun more than I do.
Lance, welcome back. No, I don't.
Yeah. I thought you did sun stuff.
I used to. I was
you're
doing
not doing
some,
it anymore.
I was doing some sun stuff.
Yeah.
I was doing some sun stuff.
Some sun.
I was doing some sun stuff,
Some
man.
sun stuff. Nice. Thank you for welcoming me back.
Yeah, man.
It's good
absolutely.
to be back.
I'm glad you're here, man.
Yeah. Me too.
So,
Interesting.
all right, dude. I don't know how to transition into this conversation because, I mean, I guess what we ought to do is probably just start off by saying, welcome to the Academy for Men's Tribal Fire conversation. This is going to be just a conversation.
Yeah, it's a total conversation. There's probably going to be some good nuggets in it. And,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you know, so.
And without further ado, my co-host Lance Cole just came back from Sacred Sons, which is a workshop, a weekend. Was it a weekend workshop?
It's a weekend 3-day workshop. They call it the EMX training. So it's the Embodied Masculine Experience.
Take it from there, man.
Yeah, take it from there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's a 3-day. It's all men. We all get to hang out. And
No women.
No women. Well, there was one woman there.
Yeah.
There's a story behind that one, too. I actually knew her. She owns the property.
Really?
Yeah, I met her 12 years ago, I think we figured out. Yeah, I met her 12 years ago to the ISTA conference in, where the heck were we? That casino on the way up to Sedona. What's the name of that casino?
Oh, geez, I don't remember. I'd have to break out my phone and find that
I don't
out.
know. There was the ISTA conference back then,
Okay.
way up there, and it was right after the temples got raided and all that stuff, so it was like a benefit for the temples.
Yeah, so this is going to be
And
a
all
little
that
bit of a there's a background check here.
Yeah.
The FBI got, they were
Yeah.
consulted. No, I'm kidding. There was a raid.
There was a raid.
There was a sex raid.
2 raids.
The raid on a temple that
Yeah.
turned into it was a big problem because of
Huge problem.
because sex was happening.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yep.
big deal that sex was happening. Like the government got involved. Like,
The
fuck
government
you.
got involved.
The fuck.
Yeah, I guess they were. Well, the Phoenix Temple. There's speculation about what the Phoenix Temple was doing, and then they raided. So they raided the Phoenix Temple, which is where a lot of it happened. And I actually know a lot of the story, but I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
And then
So you
they
met
raided the Sedona Temple.
and you met her.
I met her at the conference.
I think okay.
Yeah,
got it.
after everything had happened and everything had
Interesting.
settled down, and
Interesting.
and then 8-10 years later, they finally brought it to trial or whatever. But anyway, I met her back there, and I was sitting, I was sitting on the porch, and she came walking out of the house to introduce herself. There was about 20 of us out there, and she looked right at me, and she goes, "You're sitting in my rocking chair." She was just giving me shit, And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she's like, "No, it's okay. I don't need it right now." I said, "All right, well, let me know if you need it." And that was it. And I'm like, "I know you from somewhere." And then I realized where I was.
Mm.
And I was at Home of the Heart in Joshua Tree.
Oh wow.
And then I put 2 and 2 together and remembered that she had told me about Home of the Heart 12 years ago.
Wow.
And that was her place. So she's been there for that amount of time. She's part of the Native American Church. I can't, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation.
Oh,
Oklaweha, I think is the name.
I
and
wouldn't
how you
know.
pronounce it.
I wouldn't have no
The
idea.
K might be silent. Don't hang me. I am a member of the church myself.
Yeah.
But she's got sacred grounds. She runs ceremonies.
Sweet.
And she rents it out. It's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Anyway, 3-day retreat, all men's retreat, embodied masculine experience, and we did a whole bunch of healing work.
It sounds amazing.
It was incredible.
Cliff Castle.
It was
Casino.
hot. Cliff Castle.
Cliff
That was
Castle's
it.
Casino.
Thank you.
I found it.
Yep. That was it, man. The Cliff Castle Casino.
Cliff Castle Casino. I'm so smart.
Yep. That was a good conference. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting, man. I want to hear all about your trip. I want to hear, well, not your trip. I want to hear about your transformation and what you got from the experience. So feel free. I might ask questions and stop. And I try to be funny, but I want it to always land as a point, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
What was it like before you went? What were you experiencing emotionally, mentally before you went? Like, was there anticipation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what was
most
going on.
definitely.
Because you had
Lots
seen the
of
video
anticipation.
and
I watched some of the videos. I can't remember how they build it. They build it. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, my emotional state on like coming up the days before, it was different. I felt different. I've done some, brotherhood work and masculine work, you know, just in ISTA and stuff like that.
Right.
And, and then little things here and there. Other than that, just, doing emotional work with brothers and things like that. But it's always been usually in a co-ed place. So
Right.
it's like brotherhood circle, yet honoring and recognizing the brother in the female body as well.
Sure.
And then also including the sisters in that. So there's sisters in a male body and then, brothers in a female body. And that's kind of the basic what it's like at ISTA. This was all brothers in male bodies.
Yeah.
And it was a wide range, huge, diverse group of guys. There was 32 of us.
Wow.
It was a huge group.
That's big.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
It was big. It was amazing. I back to the question though. Let me answer your question.
Yeah.
My emotional state on the way there, it was challenging. I was challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah, stepping into a space, like that with 32 other men, is a challenging thing. And it was, come to find out, it's challenging for every single one of us that were there.
Right.
And it's amazing. If you think it's not, think again.
Yeah.
And it's a different situation because it's a healing situation. So it was a going deep. It was a digging in. It was a uncovering, the inner truth, the authenticity that exists inside, and really digging deep down and discovering what that is for yourself. And you're doing it around, I was doing it around, 32 other guys plus the facilitators and the staff.
Sure,
so there was
yeah.
about 6 or 7 staff.
Wow. So
On top
about
of that.
40 total, right?
Yeah, there was about 40 guys.
Wow.
Not we weren't all in the room at the same time. Some of the staff were, kitchen and
Sure, yeah.
doing other shit. But
Right.
primarily there was 3 facilitators, 2 staff members, and then 32 guys in
Wow.
the room. And like I said, man, all walks of life. I mean, I met a master diver from Florida.
Wow.
I met this gentleman. He's from a place just up north, up the 17, called Arco Sante.
Yeah, I know what's
Yeah.
that.
I had no idea.
There's still a
He came
community
from-
there?
There's community there.
You're kidding me.
Not kidding.
We're going.
Yeah, we're totally going. He invited me
Totally
up there.
going.
I got to
Oh,
go visit
jeez.
and hang out and,
Yes.
and see what it's all about.
Oh my God, I'm bringing my walking stick.
Yeah.
I've got one.
It
If you don't have a walking stick, you should get one.
Yeah, it sounds like I got to go get one.
We're gonna go get you a walking stick.
Go get me a walking stick. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So and then people from BC, British Columbia coming in, Washington State, where else? Pennsylvania, all over the country, like middle of the country, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, what was one feature? I don't know if I can call it a feature. But what was one thing that really seemed to be a common thread in the tapestry of men that you were spending time with? What was this? What was the sameness there?
I'm gonna be general with the first answer. Is they all had pain.
Wow.
Every single one of them.
Okay.
In some form or another. And it was all centered around shame. It was a really common theme. I realized, at least in this container, and I'm imagining in other containers that these guys run, shame is a pretty universal piece for men.
Yeah.
It was for me. I know that. Pain because of the shame.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sadness.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's I'm speaking for, I can speak for myself, but I'm going to reflect back on, I'm reflecting into what the container was.
Right.
And all of us, what I'm going to interpret it as, and is we all were walking with those things. all of us in
like
that
like it's
space.
water, not really,
Yeah,
just not really noticing it.
carrying it around in a bag,
Yeah.
and then and this is like, you know, it's like it's in a hip bag or a shoulder bag, and we're carrying it around, and there's no real place for us as men to deal with that. It's not okay. Like in the real world, like what I saw this past weekend, it's different than what's done at ISTA. And like ISTA is a recognition of like the brotherhood. This is like a dive deep and witness brotherhood.
Wow.
So it's a little different.
Yeah.
And when I say witness, because there's witnessing, I need to expand on that. There's witnessing at ISTA as well. This is like a deep dive, witnessing the pain, the suffering, and it's focused in that space. So it's focused in so that you can see it, so that you can realize that you're not alone in the world, that everyone's carrying, you know, the same labeled shit, right?
Yeah.
The pain, the shame, the guilt, the whatever it is. They all have the same name. It's just from a different context because we all came from different walks of life.
Right.
So we've all had different experiences, but we all label it the same because those are the emotions or the feelings that we have.
I am not surprised.
I wasn't surprised, but there's a powerful. What I was surprised about is the power behind it all, and it's like that. It's like that essence of container.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you step into this container, and it's there for you to be able to dive into your own shit.
Right.
And there's not many places like that on the planet. And what I understand they're doing is they're creating the safe space for men to understand that it's okay to be this way. It's okay to feel. It's okay to it's okay to walk in the world with this stuff, and it's okay to learn how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is so freaking important
Yeah.
because most men don't know how to take care of themselves. Honestly, because if they did, there wouldn't be 32 of us going through the shit we just went through.
What curriculum is there that actually does that in the world anyway, right? It's this curriculum, so yeah.
Right. I mean, it's this curriculum. I mean, there is the curriculum, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, yeah. And
it's
and
just
a lot of what we do, a lot of what we talk about.
Yes, a lot of what we do. There's a lot of healing modalities out there that dive deep into it, but there's something about the container. There's something just about the container
Yeah,
of
I
being
agree
there.
completely.
I mean, there was this one exercise. This was like Saturday, so we got there Friday, met and stuff like that.
Be careful not to give too much away.
I don't want.
I'm going to be taking it.
I'm gonna yes. I'm gonna give this one away. This is an exercise because this is a good exercise. It's a really cool. So there's however many of us, and we're in Joshua Tree, and so we're backed up against BLM land, which is federal land.
Okay.
So you can walk out and it's just vacant land, desert.
Right.
Hills, whatever, boulders, bugs, sun. It was hot. It was
Sasquatch.
Really, there might have been. I don't know. He was burning up if he was there.
Oh, yeah.
We were all burning up.
Hairy dudes.
Anyway, so we hike out and we get to this, kind of in between these two like hills, right? And there's kind of a flat spot. So we all get in line and we're facing our partner. They gave us a partner the night before.
Oh, cool. So buddy system.
Yeah, like a buddy system, yeah.
that
So we had a
works.
buddy that we would check in with during the weekend, confide in. I'll get back to the question that they gave us to talk about for the weekend, which is pretty cool. But so we get in line. We're standing across from our buddy, and we eye gaze. We're probably about 2-3 feet apart, right? So we eye gaze, connect, breathe, match breathing. And then they said to take a couple steps, take a step forward. Each of us takes a small step forward so that we can put our hands on their chest, right? And I'm tall. I'm 6 foot, 6'1". This guy's taller than me. Like he's like 6'4". And he's a big dude. And so they say, okay, so now you're going to make fists and you're going to pound on his chest. And you're just going to sit there and go like this to his chest. And then whatever happens, happens. So I start pounding on his chest, and he's guiding me, right? He says harder, softer, or whatever.
Right.
Actually, I went first. He's pounding on my chest first. And so he's pounding on my chest. And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, from like the deep bowels of my pelvis, this fucking roar popped out. And then like popcorn all the way down the line like all these fucking roars and growls and screams, and it was like we were just giving away frustration, giving away grief, giving away all whatever the fuck we were giving away.
Wow.
And then they ended that, and then we sat still, and they just kept your hands on my. He kept his hands on my chest, and then we switched, and then I did the same thing to him, and then he went through his whatever he was going through and released.
Right.
Some guys screamed, some guys yelled, some guys cried.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're getting hit.
Yeah.
You know, not hard. It's not hard, but it's a consistent.
It's a connection. You're waking up some
yes.
flesh.
Yes.
Because we go through life kind of dormant.
Yes.
And unconnected, physically disconnected with people.
Yes.
You know, so to have somebody else, much less a man, you know, touching you in that manner, I can see how that would be like, wow, something's happening here that's not normal. This isn't the way we are.
Yep.
You and I don't like see each other and go, hey, what's going on, bro?
Yeah. Right. It doesn't work. Doesn't happen that way.
I don't think we've ever done that.
No.
So
but we should.
we should.
Yes.
I agree.
You know, it's cool. And it's, you know, creating that space, creating that connection, right, with the brother, and then stepping into that space and
feels a little
allowing
scary
that.
for me though, man. To be
Fuck
honest,
yeah.
you know,
Imagine,
I'm a little.
imagine a stranger.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
like,
You know?
I don't know, man.
It's interesting. It's really interesting. And what's cool about it is it's like, I mean, if some dude just walked up to you and started doing that on the street, you'd probably clock him one right in the face.
Right.
Like, get the fuck away from me, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But this is like it's a safe container.
That's right.
So it's intentional.
Right.
Right. So it's intentional to feel, to wake up the body, to feel that masculinity in your body. It's like that's what's being enlivened.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Definitely.
to feel that energy.
Yeah.
So that was a really great exercise.
Wow.
What did I say? Back to the question.
The question that they asked you to think of for the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So they gave us buddies, and we went on an evening hike up to this like lower hill area. This is on Friday, and the question we had to talk about was, what is the one thing that you don't want your buddy to know about you? Fucking love that, right?
Oh, that's fucked up. Sorry.
Yeah, right? It's a good one, man.
The one thing I don't want my buddy to know about me.
What is it? What's the one thing?
I'm not going to tell you. We're not buddies.
What do you mean, buddy?
Sorry. We need a container.
We need it. We're in a container. I think we're in a container.
We are in a container, that's for sure.
I'm going to take a sip of water here.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like a very, a challenging program from the onset.
Yeah.
And then having a buddy and then having these other experiences. That's very interesting. And if we could jump forward a little bit.
Yeah.
What was one of the things, if you don't mind sharing this, what was one of the things that you were really wanting to get out of this? Like, or maybe that was latent and you didn't know you were wanting to get out of this?
That's a really good question. I thought about that a lot before
I'm a
I went.
professional.
Yeah, you're a professional. Look out, people. What did I want to get out of it?
Yeah.
These, I'll say this first. These things nowadays, like when I go to a workshop or some kind of transformational like work or whatever it is, I've done quite a few. So I get to I'm to a point where it's like I don't know what's going to come up. I know I have feelings. I can label what they are. I can tell you I'm angry about this thing. I'm sad about this thing, or I feel this way about this. I'd like to, move my health into a better direction. What you kind of like the usual stuff that you usually hear.
Right. Yeah.
But I just try and be with what the emotion is attached to whatever the thing is. And I never know how it's going to present. How it presented here kind of blew me away. It was really, it blew me away.
Wow.
And so I don't really know what I'm going to transform, right? But I know that there's something there.
Right.
So I have my story, right? Like I had the story. My story walking into this was everybody leaves,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard you say that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my story. And I went through, but I mean, before I even, 2 weeks ago, I told you about the breakdown I had.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the same thing.
Oh, what? Yeah.
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 So I was still carrying that a little bit,
Got it.
right?
Yeah.
But there was a difference for me in how I felt about going into this program with that story, right?
Yeah.
So it's different because now I'm in a room with, a whole bunch of dudes. So anyway, so I went in with that. So I went in with that story. And I didn't know how it was going to present. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no freaking clue. And I don't expect anything. And I just went in there and I pretty much held space the whole time. Participated 110% throughout the whole program. I was dancing around. I was doing like everything. I was up. They do like a Gestalt therapy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they call other guys up to support other guys. And
Right.
everybody's super supportive. It's a really, really solid container. So I was involved in that. I mean, different healings and things like that. And I could feel mine like gestating, like myself personally. I could feel it like gestating. And I think it was Sunday morning. Oh, I answered the question, the buddy question, right?
Right.
So I gave him my story. Like I told him my story. So that story of everybody leaves,
Yep.
I gave him the background of that and
Okay.
what that is. We were hiking up the hill. So I told him, I just got it out. And this is like Friday evening.
Wow.
So I got that out of the way so that somebody knew. So I just wanted to break the ice for myself, right?
Right.
And then it just kind of went dormant for me. Like maybe it felt like I released it a little bit because I had shared it, whatever it was. And Sunday morning, I woke up and I went up and I'm reading this book, Daniel Odier, Desire. And it's a tantric book. He's a tantra guy, and he went and found some masters and stuff like that. And he had some stuff to say about acceptance. And the way that it was in the book was a conversation. So it was a woman having a conversation with a tantric master somewhere, wherever the fuck they were.
Okay.
And she was asking him questions, and he was actually literally answering her. He wasn't giving her the spiritual fucking back on you shit. He was answering her. And there was a couple of questions in there, and I read the one question and then what his answer was, and I started fucking crying. I'm sitting on the deck outside the meeting room, and I just started crying. I was just like, what the hell? And it's like, 6:45 in the morning at this point. So I knew, and this is Sunday morning, so I knew something was popping for me.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, breakfast happened, and then it was kind of loose. The meeting stuff was kind of loose, which was interesting to experience because it's such a masculine container. So you think to be like on point the whole fucking time.
Right.
But no, they weren't.
There was
an ocean flow.
I wonder if that
flow
was by
to it.
design.
I was curious.
Yeah.
I was super curious about that. I never asked, but it worked. I don't know. There was a Saturday night. We went back into the meeting room at 10:15 to do more work.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. I'm like, I need to go to bed, dude.
Yeah. They're like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. We're meeting at 10:15 at night to do more friggin' sessions. Anyway.
Yeah.
So ate breakfast, whatever, and they had a conversation. Ended up having a conversation with one of the facilitators. He showed up on the deck. No one else was around, and he asked me how I was doing, and I went, snap. I popped. I just popped. Started crying.
Oh, okay.
Started crying. Started talking. Spilling guts. The whole thing.
Right.
And he had some stuff to say. He looked at me. I'm sharing this I'm going to share this on the airwaves because it's gone. So
Okay.
I'm going to share this. So I was having difficulty wanting to stay on this planet, right? You know this.
Yeah.
I shared this with you in private.
Right.
So I was having difficulty with that. And I shared that with him, and the question why came up. And the question why around, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why do I do this work?
Right.
Like, what the fuck am I doing? What's it for? Like, what's the point?
Yep.
Right? So why?
I ask that a lot.
Right.
What's the point?
So, like, what's the point? And I mean, this is day 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
I've seen all this stuff happen. I've had my own stuff happen.
Yep.
I've shared with other men, supported other men, you know, and the same thing has happened at, you know, when it's a co-ed retreat of some kind, you know, and it's a retreat or training. And so that came up. So I shared parts of my story with him because I knew we didn't have a lot of time. And he just, the question of, like, what am I doing and why am I here? And how do I word this? I'm trying to get the words the right way to word this. So I can't remember what I said, but he looked back at me and said, what if you are just living your life to the fullest right now? And it struck me because of what I had read earlier in the book, which was that. So it's like there's all this stuff, all this pain, all this like grief, suffering that we go through that we avoid or don't want to pay attention to, which is why these retreats exist, so that we can learn how.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we go to these retreats, we learn how to deal with this stuff personally, like when we're at home or when we're, you know, and we can support other brothers in it. But we have all this pain, all this grief, all these things that we avoid, right? And then we question our lives. Like I was questioning my life because of how I feel about experiences I've been through in my life.
Right.
That's all we have.
Sorry.
It's like,
it's so true.
It's so true.
Like what else is there? I mean,
what else is
in
there?
reality?
Yeah, but think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Think about those moments when you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling your grief, or you're feeling like that like dark night type situation, like dark night of the soul type space, right?
Yeah.
You want to hibernate. You want to do this. Like I had all that. I have all that. I still have it.
Yep.
Right? I want to hibernate. I want to be inside. I mean, it's fucking hot out. I don't really want to go outside for that reason, but like I don't really want to do much.
Right.
You know, I want to read. I want to watch a movie. I want to like learn a little bit. I want to prep for classes that I might be teaching. I want to prep for coming over here and having conversations with you.
Yep.
I want to like whatever it is I'm doing. You know, I just want to like chill out and do that.
Right.
You know, I don't want to whatever.
Right.
Go out and go crazy and
it's
party and
at this point in my
all this
life,
shit.
I'm feeling that way.
Yeah.
Like I want to be social with people, and people are silly.
Right.
You know, I mean, at some level, I don't get people. Like I don't understand the mentality behind let's go out and party and having a great time. You know, this whole thing about alcohol is messing me up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some pretty rough spots around alcohol.
Sure.
And I'm looking at that as like, now that I'm getting the data, I'm going, that's like the worst drug on the planet.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
more dangerous and deadly than all other drugs combined, including heroin, meth, anything. You take the statistics of people who are down and out and dead because of those drugs, and they pale compared to just alcohol.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a darkness in my soul there,
Sure.
which I'm addressing now.
Yeah.
For like the first time in my life, going, do I even need? You know, what's the benefit?
Right.
Why would I go out and you know, kill a bunch of brain cells to spend time with people that I won't even remember actually what happened?
Right.
Is it because my fantasy is not as exciting as my reality?
Right.
Or is it because my reality is not as exciting as my fantasy?
reality and fantasy. Fantasy is a good word. I was going there. I was going to reality and I was going to fantasy. So there's like, so we all walk around with our experiences and, you know, doing what I just described that I want that like what I enjoy doing is real to me. Coming over here and doing this is real to me. Yeah. Like going to the Sacred Sons retreat last weekend was real to me. Yeah. Like that's a real experience, right? Walking into it, there's this, as with anybody, even like you can say this, I'm going to say this, pretty much everybody does this. You walk into a club, you walk into a spiritual retreat, you walk into anything and you're comparing immediately.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's immediate.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking around and you're seeing who's who, what's happening, how you feel with the energy that's going on in the space, all this stuff. So that's at the beginning of the retreat. And speaking of my experience, I did that.
Sure.
And I self-admitted it at the retreat, and other guys did too, because that's how it is. Yeah. It became a topic of conversation at Friday dinner.
Wow.
So this is the stuff we do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an authenticity to it when it's actually spoken. And even though it's happening, it's like the surface thing. So it's not real. It's fantasy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who I was with until I actually spoke with them and met them.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
End of the weekend, it was real.
Yeah.
Beginning, it was a fantasy. And the fantasy was all in my head.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. So
there's so much content in what we're talking about and what I'm talking about. So there's all the pain that we carry. There's the suffering that we have inside of us. There's let's just say dark night. So there's a dark night of the soul going on pretty much constantly in everybody.
Sure.
Right. So there's shadow.
Yeah.
Everybody has a shadow just as much as they have light. Mm-hmm. And we do these things like compare and all this other stuff. And I mean, we've talked about companion over comparison and all that other shit. Yeah. We've talked about that many times.
Yeah.
And it's all, the opening is all fantasy.
Mm.
So why go spend time? It's not authentic.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this connective space, it's authentic.
Right.
Right. So now there's an authenticity to it. And now I'm connecting with the guy that I was judging, at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like there was this one gentleman, we were sitting there on Sunday and we were sitting for quite a bit of time. And I was like, I wasn't feeling anything at this point. We had gone through a couple processes and gone through some stuff, and I wasn't feeling my process at all. So we took a break, took it like, bathroom break, a snack, whatever. They had snacks out for us and stuff. And he was sitting next to me. This gentleman was sitting next to me, and he stood up and he asked me a question, and I answered him. And I can't remember what I said. I said something about he was telling me about a song that he enjoyed, and it reminded him of a time when someone left him or he was struggling in a relationship. And he said something along the lines, this isn't verbatim, but something along the lines of she left or somebody left him.
Right.
Pop.
Yeah.
I popped immediately because my thing is everybody leaves.
Right.
So he touched, like I'm empathic, empathy piece, boom, it hit me right in the heart.
Yep.
And I started crying and I was just like, holy shit. They told us to get with our buddy right before the break, and if you haven't gone yet in a process, get with your buddy, talk about it, see what's alive for you, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Get some support, because we didn't have enough time for everybody to go. He's not my buddy. My buddy was sitting talking to somebody else. I happened to talk to this guy, and my shit popped right back up again.
Right.
It was amazing. It was like amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
Anyway, I hadn't spoken 2 words to this guy the whole weekend. Our paths just never crossed.
Right.
And then there's a heart connection and a hug at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
that's a remarkable experience, because when I think about everything you just said, and I relate it back to reality versus fantasy, it's inside of the fantasy and the comparing. I
Yeah.
think, and this is just me talking out of my own experience. It's inside of that fantasy where we have all of our struggle and pain,
Yeah.
and
We create it.
believing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody recently say to me, you know, I don't want you to be angry. And I responded back, if you think that I'm going to be angry every time you say something to me, like you have a hard saying for me,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm just going to be angry.
Yeah.
I don't have any other choice
Right.
in your world.
Right.
I am who you say I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't land. Like that did not land well over there.
Sure.
And when I brought it back up, I said, if you think that everything you say to me, I'm going to be angry, you won't say much to me.
Right. Where's the authenticity in that?
That's
Where's the
fantasy.
reality?
That's the fantasy of it.
That's the fantasy.
Exactly. Fantasizing that I'm going to be whatever, or if I fantasize that you're going to be, I can't speak to you because I'm fantasizing you're going to be this, right? It's not real. It's a fantasy. I made it up. But if I can just get with the fact that you're a real person, that you're big, right? That you're big, you're an adult, you're grown up, and that you know how to handle these kinds of tough conversations, then I'm seeing you big enough that I see you big, not small. If I'm fantasizing about you and I see these, that sounds a little weird. I'm fantasizing about you.
Sure.
But if I'm seeing you in that light, or if that's what I'm making up about you, then I'm seeing you small.
Yeah.
And there's no reality to it.
Right.
Right? There isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have only one way to be with you.
Right.
And that is to treat you like you're small.
Yeah.
And I have to be small.
Right. To do that.
Yeah. I'm making myself, and that's where all the pain and the struggle and the shit,
Yes.
and the shadow and the darkness and all that other stuff lives.
Yes.
But it's when we're dealing in reality,
Mm-hmm.
where Lance is a big person.
Yeah.
He's amazing and understands a lot of this.
Yeah.
I can be big too and say, Lance, I got something to say.
Fuck yeah.
And you can say to me the same thing, which you have.
Yeah.
This is a really fascinating twist on some of the things that we've already talked about in the past.
Yes.
It's landing over here.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. I don't want to really go to the we create our own reality thing,
But don't we?
but we do. And we do. We create our reality based on what our past experience is,
Yeah, that's true.
and based on the emotional response to the past experience.
Yep.
It's like I stepped into this thing, I like to think of myself as not too much of a judge. Like I don't judge a lot of people. I'm pretty lenient, or I just allow people to be who they need to be a lot in my life. And, sometimes to a fault. You don't have to go there.
You're too nice.
I'm too nice.
You're very nice.
But
I've seen you be not nice.
you've seen me be not nice. Have you? Yeah, you have.
I sure as hell have.
Yeah, you have.
I've seen you be like really
Yeah.
straight, hardcore, powerful, and
Yeah.
and a challenge to
Yeah, sure.
another masculine being.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen you step up.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't like to judge people, and I don't, but I realized I was doing it at the beginning of this training,
Wow.
and it, with what I was experiencing throughout the training and the deepening into seeing other male-bodied masculine beings on the planet, all right, let's reword that, male-bodied humans on the planet.
Yep.
Going through their experiences and being in that empathetic state with them in that room, and being able to connect to every single one of their experiences. Like, there was not one that I didn't connect with
Wow.
in some way. Like I had an experience in my life where I was able to drop into that and be in empathy with this person,
Wow. That's incredible.
which is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what it's like to be a part of a tribe.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally is.
If we could define tribe in some set of sentences or even just an ideology. It would be that.
Yeah.
I could relate with each person wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Each and every one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It was really amazing. So I guess I can move into, I don't know, do you have any other questions? I can move into my experience, what it was and stuff.
No, I want to hear the experience. I just had a couple things because I wanted to see, what were some of the things that were showing up for you before you got there, emotionally and mentally and all that. You definitely clearly communicated that. What I'd like to know now is just free roam around your experience.
Okay.
Share it all. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're on video, by the way. So.
Oh yeah, right. I'm on video.
Make it good. I'm just kidding. Seems like my side's a little darker than your side. I don't know why that is.
That's because I got shiny head.
I have a really.
You're just tanner than I am.
I'm tan.
You're just tan.
I've been spending time in the sun a little bit, so.
More than me.
Yeah.
I went out in the sun at this retreat and got burnt. I got a white T-shirt on underneath my gray T-shirt.
Right. Okay, that's probably it.
Yes, I kept my shirt on in the sun because it was stupid hot.
Yeah.
I didn't want to burn my whole body. Let's see.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Appreciate that. Because I'm not real good with aloe, and
I'm not.
I got an aloe plant, but you'd have to apply it yourself. I'm sorry. We're friends. But.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good. I'm terrible at doing it myself.
Oh man. I'm glad you have a sense of humor about some of my because I'm an odd person. I just
that was definitely odd.
That was odd.
It's okay. It's all good, man.
You're practicing the non-judgment stuff, right?
I don't give a shit. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think it's
humans are
funny.
silly, man. I happen to be
We
one
are.
of those. Yeah, I qualify.
So, this is a wonderful segue into my experience.
Okay.
I'm going to detail this one, I think.
Go ahead.
I'm going to try and detail it.
Go ahead. You got 30 minutes.
So, this is really fucking cool how this all happened.
Okay.
So, we got back from that break,
Mm-hmm.
and there was, I don't know if the numbers are going to be right, but there was like 5 of us who hadn't gone yet. And they had asked in the beginning of the day, raise your hand if you want to go, if you have a process. We'll get to you. There was 5 of us that hadn't gone, and there was only time for one more. So we all stood up. So when there's like more than one person, what they do is they stand up. They have us stand in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and you make eye contact with the other person. And when you know it's not your turn, you sit down. So there's 5 of us. I just think it was 5.
Wow.
And right before this break, they had said, get with your buddy, talk about your stuff, get some support, whatever. If you still need to process, then you need to process. So all I did was get a little kick in the pants to bring my process back.
Yeah.
I didn't process anything.
Right.
Right? And I was more amazed that I was actually having a conversation with this gentleman who was amazing.
Yeah.
And that I actually connected with him because for some reason, I don't know, I felt small, and I don't usually connect with gentlemen like that. Anyway, I did. Changed. So we're all standing. We're all making eye contact, and they leave us for maybe 30 seconds or a minute to, look at each other. And we're all just, changing eyes, whatever, looking at each other. And then they ask, how's it feeling for you? Are you feeling like you need to, step into a process, yourself? So no, there was 7 of us. I'm sorry. Two of the guys sat down. They said, you know what? I got some support on the break. I'm good. I don't need to go through this process. So 2 of them sit down, and then another one. So now there's 5 of us up there. Another one sits down. He says the same thing. He's like, I'm good. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
So now there's three other guys and me, and they're all on this side. The other 3 guys are over here, and I'm here. So I'm like across from these 3 guys, and they're all staring at me.
Yeah.
And they leave us there, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I got no support during the break. I got nothing. I'm like, I want to do this. Like, I'm not getting a no. Go sit down.
Yeah.
I was buzzing.
Right.
And one of the facilitators said something. I couldn't even comprehend what he was talking about. And one of the other guys is like, you know what? I got some support. I'm gonna sit down too. I can get this. I can connect outside of this and move it further. I got my buddy on this one.
Cool.
He sits down. The other two guys immediately look at each other and go, "Yeah, we got to sit down. I don't need to do this."
Yeah.
No prompting, no pushing, nothing.
Nothing.
So there I am. I'm in the middle of the room, and I get to step into my process.
Nice.
So of course, what's alive for you, Lance? So one of the things they would do is the energy up or is the energy down? So
Right.
if it was up,
Okay.
everybody stands up to support. If it's down and you want to get down on the ground, everybody stays seated and you can sit on the ground.
Okay.
Or you can have the energy up and keep everybody seated whenever
Okay.
you want.
Okay.
It's whatever you need for support. So my energy was up, so everybody stood up, everybody was hanging, and they just ask you what's going on. So I just spit it out. I said, everybody leaves. And I started crying again right away. It was just like, boom.
Wow.
Fuck, man.
I wonder how many people right now listening to this feel like everybody leaves.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I
it's
kind
amazing.
of got that, man.
Yeah.
You
It's this piece, and it's all centered around doing this work.
Yeah.
It's all centered around doing personal growth work.
Right.
The moment that I started doing personal growth work, people started leaving my life.
Interesting.
And I see it happening to other people around me.
Right.
Like it's like and they talk about it like shedding the old, bringing in the new. It's always like moving forward, progression, all this other stuff. And it's like people fall off. The relationships shift, relationships change and things like that.
It's true.
But there were some important relationships in my life that went away that I really didn't want to go away.
Right.
Which is where this everybody leaves comes into play.
I kind of have I hope you don't mind me just sharing this a little bit.
No, do it, man.
I had a girlfriend who I still love. I adore her. She's amazing. And she said something to me in the very beginning when we first started dating. And she said, you know what? There are 3 reasons people are in your life, right?
Yeah.
It's and I hope I say it the way she says it, but she said it's season, reason, or lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
People come into your life for a season, right? And they just come and they go.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people come into your life for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a lesson or something, whatever that is. And then others come into your life for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And you simply don't know who they are.
Those first 2 are interchangeable too.
That's true.
They can both be the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Happening at the same time.
I agree. Some and others come into your life for a reason and they stay for a lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
So and that's the thing that you have to understand. And when I heard that, I didn't really get it. Now my background is that when I was 10 years old, my mother put me in foster care, and I never went back into her care after that.
Yeah.
So, I became an adult and had never gone back to be with my mother for this temporary. So I have a lot of that, people leave.
Right.
But when she said that to me, I thought, man, it makes it so much easier when they leave to know that they were either there for a season, they were there for a reason, or maybe both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they weren't there for a lifetime.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are some people that have been in my life for a lifetime that I wish would just get the fuck out.
I'm sure there's a few people out there.
and there's a reason for them being in my life, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
But that's a hard lesson for me.
Yeah.
It is.
It's challenging.
It's very challenging to think that's possibly so.
Yeah.
Of course she created this whole, thing around it, and I got to admit I really do resonate with it. But I liken it unto that word when people no longer resonate with you, or you no longer resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that moment, like that cohesive human wavelength, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
it disappears between the two of you, and you're no longer attractive to each other. You're now repellent.
Yeah.
At some point, that has to be where you go separate ways. And it's a natural progression, in my opinion.
But going back to what I was sharing before about what we carry and how we create ourselves, right? And how we create the space that we enter into.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a theory. I'm going to share this theory.
Let's hear your theory.
I agree with what you just said for the reason of we carry baggage. So we all have the shadow.
Sure.
So I agree with you there because some people don't know how to manage it or deal with it, right?
Right.
So if we learn how to be with that and be with ourselves, that would never happen. So when the theory, that's the theory, right? That's the basic theory.
Okay.
So the theory is if you, and I can use my own relationship that I have. We've shifted the relationship.
Right.
But we haven't left each other.
You're right. Yeah.
Right.
I can see that. Yeah.
So it's because we both have done work and we've both looked at and we're both open. We've looked at ourselves. We've looked at who we are as people and we accept each other for who we are. And that is a huge deal when you're talking about relationship and people leaving.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So usually this is my experience, and maybe if there's anyone else out there, maybe they have the same one. When there's someone in the relationship, whether it's me or someone else, that just can't deal with it anymore and they got to go, then they got to go.
That's right.
And that's the repellent. But the repellent is the belief structure inside of you or inside the other person if it's theirs.
Yeah.
Right? So it's time to go. All it does is the relationship in that form ends and can move to a different ring.
Yeah.
Or a different space. So maybe there's a little more distance. Maybe it's more of an acquaintance. Maybe you talk once a month. Maybe you talk once a year, whatever it is.
Or maybe you just see each other every now and then on social media.
There you go.
Yeah,
maybe you
and
just, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the extent of it.
I got a
but
question
there's
for you on
still a connection, but it's the piece about what we're carrying and what we're creating with what we're carrying in our life.
Right.
Walking in with it to the situation or experience with judgment of some kind, or are we letting that go and recognizing we have judgment and saying, hey, wait a second, I need to own my shit here and figure this one out because I really, really have deep love for this person after I get through my bullshit.
Right.
Like what's underneath my bullshit? Usually it's love.
Yeah. I'm thinking along the lines of what you were talking about when you said we're carrying baggage, or baggage obviously comes with a negative connotation.
Sure. Yeah.
But when we're talking about that, something you had mentioned was when you started doing work on yourself, when you started working on yourself personally, you lost people.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of that isn't that when you no longer have the baggage, right, you no longer need that person.
Or what you were getting from that person.
For whatever it was they were providing you around that baggage, and maybe that baggage was the only thing keeping them around.
Yeah, totally.
And in some ways, because we're, everybody's a little narcissistic. In some ways, I think that when you move on from that baggage, or you shed it, you let it go, all of a sudden they don't know how to deal with you anymore.
Right. Which is, I have a theory for this too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's my theory.
We're going to poke and prod all of these theories.
Poke and prod all these theories. So every relationship, each one of you has a ladder and you're both climbing the ladder, right? So what you just described is one person has climbed a couple of rungs of the ladder and the other person is kind of lagging behind a little bit. Right. Each ladder represents your individual journey, your personal journey.
Sure.
So what happens now is that the other person in the relationship needs to do whatever inner work they need to do to climb. And this one supports, right? How can I support you? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, then they pass, right? And they're climbing their ladder. And then you just keep passing each other. You keep supporting each other.
Yeah.
And it's the growth of the relationship.
Yeah.
And when one person stops climbing is when the relationship disintegrates or changes position.
Right.
Yeah.
Or when, and that's
my analogy.
It's an interesting analogy. I would like to shift it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Expand that. It's a theory, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I kind of feel like in light of a journey rather than climbing, we're meandering down a road.
Sure. Yeah.
And together, it's sometimes when you do some personal growth, you get a little bit further down the road, and that person's not quite,
they can't keep up
at the same pace that you're at.
Sure.
And now I don't know where to go with that, but I feel like at some point that person may say, well, I really don't want it, that for whatever reason they don't want, to catch pace or whatever. It's at that point maybe that sometimes they divert and go down a different road, or
there's a fork in the road.
Or maybe you're blazing your own trail. This is not a well-walked road.
Sure.
Right. And the person who sees the trail you're on and goes, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's a possible way. And the other,
but that's all based in their belief structure.
Sure. Yeah.
It all comes back to what their belief structure is and where they're at.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many variables here.
Yeah. There's tons of variables.
So,
my relationship is that.
Sure.
We hit a fork in the road.
Yeah.
But we're parallel.
Still traveling.
We're still traveling together, but we're on two different roads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I sure do. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like it's like all the things that are needed in a relationship of some kind is, the main one being communication. Communication, understanding, listening. Communication kind of covers the listening piece, but yeah. So if you have those things and you have that empathy, then however, even if there's forks in the road or right turns, left turns, when you're walking down the road together and one of you has to veer off and go one direction,
right?
What's the health of the relationship when that happens? I guess would be more of a focus point for what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, do you stay in contact, or is the baggage too much?
Right.
Or shadow too much, or belief structure, whatever you want to call it.
Or maybe you've changed your belief structure altogether.
Totally.
And now that takes you out of fellowship.
Yeah.
So, perfect example was, for me is, I was a born again Christian. I followed Jesus. I went to church. I was involved in ministry, and there was a falling out. And then at some point I came to a place where I no longer believe that. I don't believe, I became an atheist. I don't believe, I read the Bible, which is the perfect way to become an atheist. If you want to become an atheist, read the Bible. Or the Quran.
Yeah.
But I actually did read it, and and questions started popping up about it, and the things that I was proclaiming about that belief system. Yeah. I began to find huge flaws in. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be that. It could be anything where you start to see the flaws in that belief system and you go, wait a minute, this doesn't match up with reality, right? Maybe it matches up with my reality because it's a fantasy,
right?
But it's not reality. And now I'm struck with, well, what do I do with that? All of a sudden you fall out of fellowship with the people who continue to believe that way.
Yes.
We saw this recently.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of, I spoke to a lot of Christian men, not necessarily religious or dogmatic about it.
Yeah.
They were actually there transforming their lives. Yeah. And they had fallen out with their churches and with their communities. Yeah. Because they're on this journey, personal growth.
It's really interesting and this conversation here takes us so much further when we're looking at who do we have, like if you take inventory of the people in your life, not like they're, you know what I mean? It's I'm not saying that people are resources or anything like that, but you take inventory of the relationships you have or the relatings you have.
Yeah.
And you can kind of start to see, oh, wow, there are some that I resonate with, and then there are some that I don't resonate with.
Right.
And I'm healthier around the people that I resonate with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this is a really, it matters who you allow into your inner circle.
Sure, of
It
course.
does. It absolutely does. We've talked about this before.
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
My explanation of it is that, and I got this from Alison Armstrong, who I absolutely adore. Alison Armstrong teaches a course called Understand and Mend. She has a website, understandmen.com,
Yeah.
and she teaches some great knowledge about how men grow up and that kind of thing. One of the things that I remember from one of her courses was she talks about how men engage the world.
Yeah.
We don't tell secrets right away.
No,
it takes something for
don't.
you to go to something like this and then
Yes.
have a complete stranger who you're going to tell
Mhm.
the one thing that you don't want them to know about you. You're going to tell
Yeah.
them that, right? That's a big, big thing.
It's huge.
It's when you have people in your life, men, and this is perfect for women to understand because it's true. Men organize ourselves around who we trust.
Yes.
We don't automatically trust other men or even women.
No, we compare.
Yeah, we have to know who we're allowing into the inner part of the inner court of the castle.
Yeah.
Right, my private. Like I won't have very many people come into my private bedroom.
Right.
Right, my lover,
Yeah.
my beloved. She has access. I trust her with my life.
Sure. Sure.
And then you have others that you allow into that inner sanctum. But then there are people that are not in that inner sanctum. And I suggest that for the most part, almost everybody in our lives falls outside. Almost everybody in our lives falls outside of that inner sanctum space.
Sure.
And we call it, they're in the kingdom. So they're within the walls of the kingdom. These are friends and acquaintances and trusted, some trusted people.
Yeah.
And then you have people that are outside that wall, and these are people who are a little bit less, connected with, but they're still part of your kingdom, if you will. And then there are people who live outside of that, and you don't trust them for shit. They're the enemy.
Right.
Like you can't, and you don't know who they are. And the problem is that men, we have to continually monitor and look at those who are closer in each time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that are really close in the inner sanctum, we trust them with our lives.
Yeah.
Because they've proven to be that faithful. Right.
Right.
That's rare.
Super rare.
It's very rare.
I got there with 32 other guys or 31 other guys in 2 days.
That's what's so interesting to me.
2.5 days.
Is how you can how do you pull that off, right? And that's what I mean when you and I started talking about this tribal fire thing. We started talking about what does it take for you to become a part of a tribe in which that is the norm.
Yeah.
Like
It takes, and this is that thing is it comes down to the individual, comes down to their belief structures and how much they want it. You know, I mean, there's people recently that I'm kind of going, where'd you go? What happened?
Right.
You know, I had dinner with you and talked for 2.5 hours. Where'd you go?
Yeah. What's that about?
You know, I haven't heard from you in a long time. And it's kind of, it is what it is. There's not really much you can do about it. I do too, but
it's so true, but it is.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, and I don't want to assume on my end, so I don't want to create that fantasy of what happened or if I did something or if they did something or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to create that fantasy, so that's why I say it is what it is.
I got it.
Because it's got to be something.
It's the worst colloquial saying, but it's absolutely true.
I don't like using it, but at the same time, fuck, there's not really any other way to say it. And it doesn't mean that I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because it hurts.
It does.
It does not feel good.
It's a little bit like betrayal.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit like another person left.
Yeah. That's
like everybody leaves.
Exactly what
it
is.
And then now that's more evidence that your belief system is accurate in reality.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But the fantasy of it is maybe they just got busy.
Yes.
They got other shit going on.
Yes.
You know, the reality of it, the fantasy of it is everybody leaves.
Yes.
They don't like me anymore, whatever that shows up as. And then the reality is I'm busy. I got other things going on. I love you, but I just don't have time right now to do that.
Right.
And
this is that thing of what am I creating? What am I thinking?
Yeah.
What am I feeling in my body? What am I really wanting? like through this.
Right.
Let's get back to that.
Okay.
So continuing my journey. So they ask me what's up for me. I say everybody leaves, and then they start pulling me into my space.
Mm-hmm.
So close my eyes, so on and so forth. And they pull me down. They ask me some pretty pointed questions of like what I'm feeling, what's going on for me, so on and so forth.
Right.
And I can't remember the whole entire journey. Through
You don't want to give too much away either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I spoke some of my story to the group
Mm-hmm.
prior to like them bringing me in and stuff like that. And that's where I brought up the why and like, why are we here? Why are we doing this? What's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Everybody leaves. I do this.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you tag on everybody leaves, you can
Yeah.
come up with a whole list
Totally.
of what the fucks.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing this for? Everybody leaves.
Right.
Why should I even care? Everybody leaves.
Right. I do
Right.
this work, and then I go home and I lose somebody from my life because I just came and did this work.
Right.
Because I just transformed who I am. I moved energy. I moved whatever it was, the hook. I removed the hook
Right.
of why this person was in my life, like
Yep.
you're describing before. So that,
Yeah.
right? And the challenging part for me is that when it happened to some important people in my life. So, yeah,
I can feel that in my back and my lower
It's-
solar plexus and stuff. Yeah, I get it.
got it.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm going through this. I explain to the group. I'm using all that kind of language, the
Mhm.
why, and everybody leaves and all this other stuff. What the fuck are we doing here, guys? I've seen so much go on. Da 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 da. Whatever I said.
Right.
And then they bring me in, and I realize at some point I said, I just want to have fun. And then they said, okay, breathe into that. So I breathed into that. My eyes are closed. And I said, I feel like there's a wall in front of me. Right. I'm still kind of cognitive to the room, but my eyes are closed. So I hear him say, all right, I need 8 guys, stand up and get up here. And he lines them up in front of me. So he lines 4 guys in front and 4 guys behind. So
Okay.
there's 8 guys in front of me.
Sure.
Not small guys.
He didn't get the short ones of the group. Yeah.
He didn't get the small ones.
got
of
the big
group,
guys.
which there really wasn't any small ones in the group.
Yeah.
Everybody was a pretty big dude. So my eyes are closed. He's bringing me in. So he puts them in front of me, and then on the other side of them, he had a couple other guys stand up, and they represented fun, because there was a wall in front of me. When I was inside, like my eyes were closed,
Right.
I said, there's a wall. I can't get to fun. There's no fun there. Anyway. So
These fantasies we create. We're
then
silly.
then they asked
Yeah.
me, okay, well, how are you gonna get through the wall? I said, well, climb over it. That doesn't really work because wouldn't work.
Hack through it.
Hack through it, walk around it. Couldn't walk around it because it was a moving wall.
Yeah, no shit,
Right,
man.
and moved back and forth with me.
Right, yeah.
So I ended up saying, what came to me is I had to dance through the wall. I had to dance my way through the wall. Imagine.
Yeah.
So I danced my way through the wall.
You danced your way through the wall.
I danced my way through the wall. I broke through the wall.
What
and
a
I got
fucking
the fun
metaphor
on the other
for
side.
life, man.
Fuck yeah.
What a metaphor for life.
It was the last one of the weekend. It was
Yep.
the last session of the weekend, and it was the reminder for me personally in my life
Yeah.
to have fun with life,
Mm.
to live life, to accept life, to dance through life in whatever way I want, however I feel, and do what I want and live the life that I'm living
Yeah.
and continue to expand on it and grow. And it gave all the other guys who had gone through so much last I saw a lot of pain get healed this weekend. Last
Wow,
weekend, man.
man.
A lot of pain.
Wow.
Like, woof.
That's awesome.
Reminded them to dance through life too
Yeah.
and just live life.
That's so good, man.
There was this one point where I was at I met my 7 or 8 year old self in the sandbox.
Oh boy.
It was really cool. That's where I discovered
Yeah.
where I discovered that it was like I was alone. I was, 7 or 8 years old. I was sitting in the sandbox. I was playing, and I was building little forts, and I used to build racetracks and stuff like that, and matchboxes or
I
cars
did the
or
same
whatever.
thing, man.
You sit there and
dig
just
little tunnels.
yeah,
and,
tunnels and stuff.
Yeah.
Army men, whatever.
We got to go do that one of these days.
We should.
That's for sure.
When it's cooler out, because the sun won't burn.
Yeah,
us.
Absolutely.
And so I asked him. He was alone and he's playing. And I asked him. I said, "Are you having fun?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm having a blast. This is awesome. Look at my track.
Right.
Look at my castle. Yep. The buckets you fill it with sand. And you make castles and stuff."
Dude, I'm totally with you.
And I was just like, "Holy shit! This is what I lost. This is what I got to get back." Where's the joy? Where's the joy in life? Where's the I'm here, I'm doing all this work on belief structures and all this bullshit that I have going on. Everybody always leaves me, woe is me, fucking bullshit, right?
Right.
And all I need to do is just go dance through life and
Go
have
dance.
fun.
Yeah, dance.
That was it. That was it. So the
Lance,
whole
you telling me that you went to this thing and what
So
you
that
got
I could
out of it was
dance.
just, you just need to dance.
I just need to dance. I need to dance, you fucker. That's it. That's a line.
Well, I'm
for-
inspired by that. I am. I'm not. I mean, I know I'm making fun, but I'm inspired by that.
It's totally fun.
That's big.
It was it was big, and it showed up in the container that I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and it might seem really simple, like hearing it, but it's not, because it came with all that shit.
Yeah.
I've been walking around with this for 10 years.
Yeah.
That I was aware of, and before that, I mean, shit, who knows when I lost it when I was a kid. Maybe I lost it when I was a teenager, when my parents got divorced or something. You know what I mean? Who knows?
It's tough to tell. Something that I remember, I remember saying a while back, and that was, when we experience shame as a young child, as a young person, it's almost as though we in our own imaginations, we hallucinate. It's like a judge with the gavel, and this is now a life sentence.
Yeah.
Like imagine a failure, right? You failed at something. And in our minds, it's like, oh my God, this is a life sentence. I'm not this. I'm not good enough. I'm not whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's this life sentence. And the problem with that is that it's happening in our own minds.
Mm-hmm.
And that failure, that shame of the failure will drip on you. It's like Chinese
long
fucking
time.
water torture for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Like it's
That's what it was.
it's messy.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And all of a sudden you're dancing.
Yeah. Oh man, I was dancing around the whole room. Everybody was dancing. They were like chanting. It was amazing.
That's awesome, dude.
It was fucking amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to do it. So it's called Sacred.
Sacred Sons is the name of the group
Is there
or company.
Is there a website?
Yeah, sacredsons.com.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
check
the
that out.
website. And this was the EMX training, so the Embodied Masculine Experience. It's just a weekend. I think they have 3 or 4 other trainings. There's a thing coming up called Convergence.
Is that like level 2 or something?
No, I think you can do them all individually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's just like, hey, here's our workshops, come and do them.
Yeah. One doesn't build off another. They're all different.
Yes.
Interesting.
From what I understand. I mean, they might overlap a little bit.
Sure.
I'm sure. I mean, the premise is the same.
Yeah.
The whole idea of it's awakening the conscious masculine on the planet is essentially what the premise is.
Right.
Those are my words. Those aren't theirs. There's like Embodied Masculine Prime, which is a new one I didn't see before that somebody just came up with, I think. And there's the Convergence, and there's 2 parts to the Convergence. It's like 2 weekends, I think. One's Alpha and one's Omega. I don't know what the significance of that is.
Okay. We'll have to do some research on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just giving access and exposing, our listeners and viewers to that. I want to take a moment here and just I just want to thank our listeners for tuning in. I mean, we really appreciate that. Some of the stuff we talk about is we talk, you hear this a lot, especially in these circles, right? The sacred sexuality, sacred whatever, about this, this stuff called masculine, feminine, and, how are like male and female, and then all the other different things that show up in these conversations. And they're just buzzwords to me. Like at some point, we've got to kind of redefine ourselves. And one of the things that you and I talk about is the modern shaman.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that shamanism as it has progressed over time doesn't have value, right? Like we talk about lineages and that kind of stuff, right? And I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah, I'm following.
But that there is this thing called the modern shaman, which incorporates a lot more of what we know about the human anatomy, so science, a lot more about what we understand about hormonal changes and our moods and our emotions and these things that impact us day by day. There's chemicals flowing throughout our bodies, and every time we have an experience, we'll have a chemical response to it. It's not just your emotions. Your emotions are driven by those chemicals that get released.
Yes.
And if you're one of those fight or flight type of people and things scare you, you're going to find yourself with a lot more of the not so positive emotions, which are driven by those not so positive. Well, they're not even whether positive or not, just those hormones that get released into your body, or your stressor hormones.
Yep.
But if you're the person who's optimistic and positive and that kind of thing, you see that those hormones follow your emotions.
Yes.
And we can track that. We can actually. So as a modern shaman, an ancient shaman would not know these things at that level, but they would have an understanding of what's happening.
They wouldn't have had the science around it.
Precisely.
But they have the energetic understanding of it.
Right. And they would describe it how they described it. And a lot of that shows up as chakras. A lot of that shows up as energy work and da-da-da-da-da. But what we're adding to this modern shaman idea, is the inclusion of what we know now anatomically. So now we're learning these things. These are becoming knowledges that we have and that we can actually hand off to other men and say, oh, by the way.
It's like the unification of the old and the new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're bringing it all together and we're trying to move it forward. The Sacred Sons is a unique experience, I think.
Yes.
In that it tackles some of that modern shamanism that I'm talking about.
Yes,
it sounds to me.
They bring in some of the ancient arts as well.
Yeah. Well, you need to, because you how do you explain it? And I think the ancient is as important because it informs. It really does inform. And a shaman.
I don't want to use the word ancient. I'm sorry.
Well,
that struck me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not ancient, but it's more ceremonial. Like they bring in a lot of ceremony.
Yeah, sure.
And it's shamanic ceremony, so it's it comes from shamans in Peru, and there's a lot of ceremony going on.
The differences between one and the other, like if I could just say that shamanism is about the practice. It's about practicing. Yeah. And it's also about the knowledge. It's about the understanding of those things that you're practicing, right? Yeah. So I love this kind of a new take on what it means to be a modern shaman. Yeah. And it's those conversations, right, where we're enlightening other men about these things that's so different. This is not the norm in these kind of types of conversations.
No, not at all.
What you and I are committed to is that, and this is why we do it, right? This is the whole what the fuck are we doing here anyway?
Yeah, this is why. This is why we're here, so that we can sit here and do this and have these conversations and give it to people. Right. And they can have it.
That's what Tribal Fire is about. That's what the Academy for Men is about. It's why we do what we do. Yeah. And we commit to creating these on at least once a week, so that we can put it out on Sundays, so that we can make sure that people have this kind of information. We constantly are growing our knowledge base and growing other people's knowledge base. It's so important.
Yes. And stay tuned for special guests.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Actually, we have a couple guests that we're going to be having here very, very soon. So
awesome.
I'll let you know about that on camera. So the reason that I say all this is because I want people to have an opportunity to support us in this work. As we move forward, we're going to have a lot of information.
Yeah.
We're connecting with people from the poly world, polyamorous world. We're connecting with people that are really forging ahead in the world of socio-sexual revolution, which is actually a Facebook group I created. And the reason for that is because so much has to change. There's so much damage, so much trauma.
Yes.
The baggage you talked about, going to these kinds of programs and having the ability to listen in on these kinds of conversations can be transformative for people just to listen in on.
Of course. Yes. Huge.
So we want to make sure that people have the access to us. So you can find us online at tribalfire.co.
Oh, wonderful.
We have our own website now.
Wonderful news.
It's going to link you to our Facebook page. But
I've been down and out for a week here, folks.
You've been gone.
I've been gone. I was gone for a weekend. I came home. I had heat stroke all week. It was ridiculous.
Working your butt off. We also have a Patreon page for the Academy for Men, which is inclusive of our Tribal Fire information.
Yes.
Our podcasts are all there. So, if you want to support the work we're doing, and I would encourage you to, definitely go to those locations and seek us out, find us. We're available. We're here to have conversations. We're also running workshops, so we're doing that as well. Lance is one of our co-lead facilitators, and so he does the Just Add Skill, which is engineering unforgettable sex.
Yeah, we do.
We both do.
We both do.
And that's a unique. That's another unique program. I don't know anybody that does anything like that.
Yeah.
But the Patreon page is a place where you can go and you can support us. It's you can donate $5 a month or $10 a month or $25 a month. I think we have several different tiers already set up. But what that does is that allows us to make this better, make this podcast better. It allows us to spend more time doing what we know to do in researching and going to Sacred Sons and things like that.
Yeah.
And also upgrading our equipment and making that better and making this all look appealing. I mean, that's important, but what's more important is what we have to say.
Yeah. What we have to say and what we can bring. We have these gifts that both of Michael and I have been working on for years.
A decade, at least.
And
a dozen years for you.
Studying and teaching and just moving forward, and the things that I want to share my gifts with the world, and I want to share them without my baggage. And I want to share my baggage, and I want to let you know that you're not alone. I learned that I knew I wasn't alone, but I really learned this past weekend that in male-bodied human beings, I am not alone. And that struck me more so than anything. I saw men from all walks of life that have never done a spiritual workshop ever in their life. And this is what makes the difference for me, because a lot of people that have done like the ISTA program or that have done tantric programs come from somewhere.
Right.
Like they've had some kind of taste. This is straight up. You left your cubicle on Thursday, you hopped on a plane on Thursday morning, and you were in Joshua Tree on Thursday afternoon, sitting in circle with 32 guys, and you've never been to any form of spiritual retreat before.
That's huge.
So that's the kind of people that I'm talking about. That's why it's just so different. And I see how much what you and I are creating and what we're doing is needed on this planet. Just like what Sacred Sons is doing. They're doing their version of what it is, masculinity, new level of masculinity.
Yeah.
We're doing our version, new level of human being, masculinity, femininity, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's so fucking needed on this planet. And you're not alone.
That's right.
You're not alone. So many people are going through the same emotional experiences, troubles. You're just not alone.
Yeah.
So I mean, please comment.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can
subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Academy
Comment.
for Men.
You know, tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me I'm whatever you need to do. Say I'm amazing. Whatever you got to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Comment on it. Get it out there. Get the conversation going.
Right.
You know, say you disagree. Say you agree. Whatever it is. You know, and if you have a topic, you have something that's going on for you, you know, I'll do private session. We do one-on-one coaching.
Yep.
We can do one-on-one coaching with you. You know, we got to get a show about just that skill. We really got to talk about that.
We'll do one. We'll do one soon. I think that's well. Not only that, but we have a schedule coming up. So
Michael's been busy since I've been.
We'll
gone.
talk about that. It's not good for me to launch into this until Lance on video, because he could be like, what? But yeah, there's some things that we're going to be doing here very soon. So
awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. My son just texted me. Sorry, I got distracted.
Nice. we're on the air, man.
Well, yeah. So say it again, and then we'll actually get out. Go ahead.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah,
I hope
thank
you have
you.
a beautiful evening.
Thank you so much, and we'll be back next week, Sunday, 10 a.m. Check us out on Tribal Fire. We'll also have you posted up on the Academy for Men and a number of other groups. Again, my name is Michael Gibson. This is Lance Cole. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.